Hi PIYUSH, this video will be an audiobook of The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. I will be making this video so you can auto suggest yourself in the future. So let's go. So, let's go. So I'll just skip introduction because it's not that much of the value. Let's go to the chapter 1, the compound effect in action. You know that expression, slow and steady wins the race? Ever heard the story of the tortoise and the hare? Ladies and gentlemen, I am the tortoise. Give me enough time and I will beat virtually anybody, anytime, in any competition. Why? Not because I am the best or smartest or the fastest. I'll win because of the positive habits I have developed and because the consistency I used in applying those habits. I am the world's biggest believer in the consistency. I am living proof that it's the ultimate key to the success. Yet it's one of the biggest pitfall for people struggling to achieve. Most people don't know how to sustain it. I do. I have my father to thank for that. In essence, he was my first coach for igniting the power of the compound effect. My parents divorced when I was 18 months year old. My dad raised me as a single father. He wasn't exactly the soft, nurturing type. He was a former university football coach and he hardwired me for the achievement. Thanks to dad, wake up calls were at 6 o'clock every morning. Not by a loving tap on the shoulder or even the sound of a radio alarm. No, I was awakened each morning by the repetitious pile driving sound of iron pounding on the concrete floor of our garage. Situated next to my bedroom, it was like waking up 12 feet from the construction zone. He did painted a huge no pain, no gain sign on the wall of the garage, which he stared at while he did countless old school strongman deadlifts, power cleans, lunges, and squats. Rain, sleet, or shine, Dad was out there in his shorts and tattered sweatshirt. He never missed a day. You could set your watch by his routine. I had more chores than a housekeeper and a gardener put together. Upon returning from school, there was always a list of instructions to greet me: pull weeds, rake leaves, sweep the garbage, dust, vacuum, do the dishes, you name it, and getting behind in school wasn't tolerated. That's just the way it was. Dad was original. Dad was the original no excuses guy. We were not we were not even ever allowed to stay home from school sick unless we are actually bleeding or showing bone. The term showing bone came from his coaching days. His players knew they were not allowed to come out of the game unless they were seriously injured. One time his quarterback asked to be pulled out of the game. Dad said, "Not unless you are showing bone." The quarterback pulled back his shoulder pads, and sure enough, his collarbone was showing. Only then he was allowed to come off the field. One of the dad's core philosophy was, no matter how smart you are not, you need to make up in the hard work what you lack in experience, skill, intelligence, or innate ability. If your competitor is smarter, more talented, or experienced, you just need to work 3-4 times as hard. You can still beat them. No matter what the challenge, he taught us to wake up, make up in hard work for wherever I might be disadvantaged. Miss 3 throw at the game, do 1,000 throw free every day for a month. Not good at dribbling with your left hand? Tie your right hand behind your back and dribble 3 hours a day. Behind in your maths? Hunker down, hire a tutor, and work like hell all summer until you get it. No excuses. If you are not good at something, work harder, work smarter. He walked his talk too. Dad went from a football coach to top salesperson. From there he became the boss, ultimately went on from on his company. But I wasn't given lots of instruction from the beginning. Dad let us figure it out. Dad let us figure it out. He was all along talking about personal responsibility. He did not have a hammer on us every night about homework. We just had to show up with the results. And when you did, you were celebrated. If we got good grades, Dad took us to drinks and ice cream parlors where you could get these big king banana splits, 6 scoops of ice cream, and all the fixing. Many times my siblings didn't fare as well in school, so they didn't get to go. Getting to go was a big deal, so you worked your butt off to win the trip. Dad's discipline served me as an example for me. Dad was my idol, and I wanted him to be proud of me. I also lived in a fear of disappointing him. One of his philosophies is, be the guy who says no. It's no great achievement to go along with the crowd. Be the unusual guy, extraordinary guy. That's why I never did drugs. He never harped on me about it, but I didn't want to be that guy who just went along because everyone else was doing it. And I didn't want to let Dad go down. Thanks to Dad, by 12, I did master a schedule worthy of the most efficient CEO. Sometimes I gripped and moaned. I was a kid, but even then I secretly liked knowing that I had an edge over my classmates. Dad gave me a serious head start on the discipline and mentality it takes to be dedicated and responsible to achieve whatever I set out to achieve. It's no accident that the tagline of the Success magazine is what achievers read. Today, Dad and I joke about what an addictive overachiever he trained me to be. At 18, I was making a 6-figure income in my own business. By age 20, I owned my own home in an upscale neighborhood. By age 24, my income grew to more than $1 million a year, and by age 27, I was officially a self-made millionaire with a business that brought me in more than 50 millions in revenue. That just about the things bring us past. That just about bring us to the present day. Because I am not yet 40, but I have enough money and assets to last my family for the rest of my life. There are lots of ways to screw up a kid. Dad says, At least my way was a pretty good one. You seem to have done pretty well. So while I admit that I have had to practice sitting on my hands and being present in the movement, or chilling out peacefully in a beach chair from time to time without taking a pile of business book or self-improvement CD with me, I am grateful for the successful skills I learned from my dad and my other mentors along the way. The compound effect reveals the secret behind my success. I am the true believer in the compound effect because dad made sure that I lived each and every day until I couldn't live any other way if I tried. But if you are like most other people, you are not a true believer. There are lots of perfectly understandable reasons why you haven't had the same coaching and examples showing you what to do. You haven't experienced the payoff of the compound effect. As a society, we have been deceived. We have been hypnotized by the commercial marketing, which convinces you of problems you don't have and sells you on the idea of instant insta fixes to cure them. We have been socialized to believe in the fairy tales endings found in movies and novels. We have lost sight of the good old fashioned value of hard work and consistent work. Let's examine these hurdles one by one. You haven't experienced the payoff of the compound effect. The compound effect is the principle of reaping huge rewards from a series of small, smart choices. What's most interesting about this process to be is that even though the results are massive, the steps in the movement don't feel significant. Whether you are using this strategy for improving your health, relationships, finances, or anything else for that matter, the changes are so subtle they are almost imperceptible. These small changes offer little or no immediate results. No big win, no obvious I told you so payoffs, so why bother? Most people get tripped up by the simplicity of compound effect. For instance, they quit after the eighth day of running because they are still overweight, or they stop practicing the piano after 6 months because they haven't mastered anything more than chopsticks, or they stop making contribution to their IRA after a few years because they could use the cash and it doesn't seem to be adding up much anyway. What they don't realize is that these small steps, seemingly insignificant steps completed consistently over time, will create a radical difference. Let me give you a few detailed examples. Small, smart choices plus consistency plus time is equal to radical differences. The magic penny. If you were given a choice of between taking $3 billion in cash this very instant and single penny that doubles its value every day for 31 days, which would you choose? If you have heard this, if you have heard this before, you know penny gambit is the choice you should make. You know it's the course that will lead to greater wealth. Yet why it is so hard to believe? Yet why it is so hard to believe choosing the penny will result in more money in the end? Because it takes so much longer to see the payoff. Let's take a closer look. Let's say you take the cold hard cash and your friends goes the penny route. On the day 5, your friend has 16 cents. You, however, have $3 million. On day 10, it's $5.12 versus your big bucks. How do you think your friend is feeling about her decision? You are spending your millions and enjoying the heck out of it and loving your choice. After 20 full days, with only 11 days left, Penny Lane has only 5,243 dollars. How is she feeling about herself at this point? For the most, for all her sacrifice and positive behavior, she barely has more than $5,000. However, you have $3 million. Then the invincible magic of the compound effect starts to become visible. The same small mathematically growth improvement each day makes the compounded penny worth 10 million, 7,000, 10 million. I don't know how much is this. This is so huge. You can think of this huge like a small penny can go to this much. So keep on going, keep on going. One day it will blast. In this example, we see why consistency over time is so important. On day 29, you have got your $3 million and Penny Lane has around 2.7 million. It isn't until day 31 of this 31-day race that she pulls ahead with $5.3 million, and it is not until the very last day of this month-long ultra marathon that your friend blows you out of the water. She ends up with 10,007,000. I don't know how much is this, and I'm not able to. You guys, let's go. Very few things are as impressive as the magic of the compounding pennies. Amazingly, this force is equally powerful in every area of your life. Three friends, let's take three buddies who grew up together. They live in the same neighborhood with each similar responsibilities. Each makes around $50,000 a year. They are still married and have average health and body weight, plus little bit of that dreaded marriage flag. Friend number 1, let's call him Larry. Plods along doing he's always done. He's happy, so he thinks. He complains occasionally that nothing ever changes. Friend number 2, Scott, starts making some small, seemingly inconsequential positive changes. He begins reading 10 pages of good book per day, listening to 30 minutes of something instructional or inspirational on his commute to work. Scott wants to see changes in his life but doesn't want to make fuss over it. He recently read an interview with Dr. Mehmed on Success Magazine and choose one idea from the article to implement in his life. He's going to cut 125 calories from his diet every day. No big deal. We are talking maybe we are taking maybe cup of cereal less, trading that can of cola for a bottle of Settlers, switching him from mayo to mustard on his sandwich. Doable. He's also started walking a couple thousand extra steps per day, less than a mile. No, Scott is determined to stick with these choices, knowing that even though they are simple, he could easily be tempted to abandon them. Friend number 3, Brad makes up poor choices. He recently bought a new big screen TV so he can watch more of his favorite programs. He's been trying out the recipes he's seen on the food channel. The cheesy casseroles and the desserts are his favorites. Oh, and he installed a bar in his family room and added one alcoholic added one alcoholic drink per week in his diet. Nothing crazy. Brad just wants to have a little more fun. At the end of 5 years, no perceivable changes, differences exist among Larry, Scott, or Brad. Scott continues to read a little bit every night and listen to audios, audios during his commute. Brad is enjoying life and doing less. Larry keeps on doing as he always has, even though each man has his own pattern of behavior. 5 months isn't long enough to see any real decline or improvement in their situation. In fact, if you charted 3 months' weight, you did see rounding error of 0. They did look exactly equal. At the end of 10 months, we still can't see noticeable changes in any of their lives. It's not until we get to the end of 18 months that the slightest differences are measurable in these three appearances. But at about month 25, we start seeing some really measurable visual changes. At month 27, we see an expensive difference, and by month 31, the change is startling. Brad is now fat, Scott is trim, and by cutting 125 calories a day in 31 months, Scott has lost 31 pounds, 33 pounds. Brad ate 125 more calories more a day in that same time frame, gained 33.5 pounds. Now he weighs 67 pounds more than Scott. But the differences are more significant than weight. Scott's invested almost 1000 hours reading good books, listening to self improvement audios. By putting his newly gained knowledge into practice, he's earned a promotion and a raise. Best of all, his marriage is thriving. Brad is he's unhappy at work and his marriage is on the rock. And Larry is pretty much exactly where he was 2.5 years ago. Except now he's a little bit about it. The phenomenal power of the compound effect is that simple. The difference between the difference between people who employ the compound effect for their benefit compared to their peers who allow the same effect to work against them is almost inconceivable. It looks miraculous, like magic or quantum leaps. After 31 months or 31 years, the person who uses positive nature of the compound effects appeared to be an overnight success. In reality, his or her profound success was the result of small, smart choices completed consistently over time. The ripple effect. The results in the above example seem dramatic, I know, but it goes even deeper than that. The reality that even one small change can have a significant impact that causes an unexpected and unintended ripple effect. Let's put one of the brats that have it under the microscope, eating rich food more frequently to better understand how the compound effect can also work in a negative way and can create a ripple effect that impacts your entire life. Brad makes some muffins from a recipe he learned from the food channel. He's proud and then, and his family loves it, and it seems to add value all around. He starts making them and other sweets frequently. He loves his own cooking and eats more than his share, but not so much that anyone notices. However, the extra food that Brad eating makes Brad sluggish at night. He wakes up little groggy, which makes him cranky. The crankiness and the sleep deprivation begins to impact his work performance. He's less productive and as a result gets discouraging feedbacks from his boss. By the end of the day, he feels dissatisfied with his job and his energy level is way down. The commute home seems longer and more stressful than ever. All of this makes him reach far for more comfort food. Stress has a way of doing that. The lack of energy makes Brad less likely to take walks with his wife like he used to. He doesn't feel like it. She misses their time together and takes his withdrawal personally. With fewer shared activities with his wife and absence of fresh air and exercise, Brad's not getting the endorphin release and that had made him feel better and that made him feel upbeat and enthusiastic because he's not as happy. He starts finding fault with himself and others and stops complimenting his wife. As his own body starts to feel flabby, he feels less confident, less attractive, and becomes less romantic. Brad doesn't realize how his lack of energy and affection towards his wife affects her. He just knows that he feels funky. He starts losing himself in late night TV because it's easy and it's distracting. Feeling his distance, Brad's wife starts to complain and then becomes needy. When that doesn't work, she emotionally withdraws to protect herself. She is lonely. She pours her energy into her work and spends more time with her girlfriends to fulfill her need for companionship. Man starts flirting with her, which makes her feel desirable again. She would have never cheated on Brad, but he has a feeling something wrongs. Instead of saying that his poor choices and behavior are at the root cause of their problems, he finds faults in his wife. Believing that other person is wrong rather than looking inside and doing the work necessary to clean up your mess is basic psychology 101 stuff. In Brad's case, he doesn't know to look inside. They don't offer. He doesn't know how to look inside. They don't offer self improvement or relationship advice on Top Chef or his favorite crime shows. However, the thought may have occurred to him that if he had read the personal development books his buddy Scott read, have learned how he might have learned about ways to change negative habits. Unfortunately for Brad, the small choices he made on the daily basis created a ripple effect that wreaked havoc on every area of his life. Of course, all that calorie counting and intellectual stimulation has had the opposite effect with the Scott, who is now reaping the bounty of positive result. In the slight edge, Zeph Olson, another Zimron protege, described this as the repeating of the simple daily disciplines versus simple errors in judgment. It's that simple. With enough time and consistency, the outcomes become visible. Better yet, they are totally predictable. The compound effect is predictable and measurable. That's great news. Isn't it comforting to know that you only need to take a few steps of sorry, series of few tiny steps consistently over time to radically improve your life? Doesn't that sound easier than mustering off some grand show of bravery and heroic strength only to wear yourself down and have to dump up all that energy again at the later date for another try, which will likely be unsuccessful? I am exhausted just thinking about it. That's what people do. We have been conditioned by the society to believe in the effectiveness of great display of massive heck effort. Heck, it's downright all American. See, the beauty of compound effects is in its simplicity. Notice how on the left side of the diagram the results are intangible, but how powerfully they differ later on. The behaviors all along the way are exactly same, but the magic of compound effect eventually kicks in to bring massive differences in results. The most challenging aspect of compound effect is that we have to keep working away for a while consistently and efficiently before we can begin to see the payoff. Our grandparents knew this, though they didn't spend their life or evening glued to the TV watching informations about how to have thin thighs in 30 days or a real estate kingdom in 6 months. I bet your grandparents worked 6 days a week from sun up to sundown using the skills they learned in their youth repeatedly throughout their entire life. They knew that the secret was hard work, discipline, and good habits. It's interesting that wealth tends to skip a generation. Overwhelming abundance often leads to lack, additional mentality, which brings about a sedentary lifestyle. Children of the wealthy are especially susceptible. They weren't the ones who developed the discipline and character to create the wealth in the first place. So it makes sense that they may not have the same sense of value for wealth or understand what's necessary to keep it. We royalty, movie stars, corporate executives, and to a lesser degree in children and adults everywhere. As a nation, our entire populace seems to have lost the appreciation for the value of strong work ethic. We have had two, if not these three generation of Americans who have known the great prosperity, wealth, and ease. And ease our expectation of what it really takes to create lasting success. Things like great hard work and fortitude are not alluring and thus have been mostly forgotten. We have lost the respect for the strife and struggle of our forefathers. The massive efforts they put forward instilled the massive efforts. They put forth instilled discipline, chiseled their character, and stalked the spirit to brave new frontiers. The truth is, complacency has impacted all great empires, including but not limited to Egyptians, Greeks, Roman, Spanish, Portuguese, French, English. Why? Because nothing feels like success. Once dominant empires have failed for this very reason. People get to a certain level of success and get too comfortable. Having experienced extended periods of prosperity, health, and wealth, we become complacent. We stop doing what we did to get us there. We become like a frog in the boiling water that doesn't jump to his freedom because the warming is so incremental and insidious that he doesn't notice he's getting cooked. If we want to succeed, we need to recover our grandparents' work ethic. It's time to restore our character. It's not for the sake of the saving America, at least for your greater success and achievement. Don't buy into the genie in the lamp idea. You can sit on your couch waiting to attract check in your mailbox, rub crystals together, walk on fire, channel that 2000 old year guru, or chant affirmation if you want to. But much of that is hocus pocus commercialism, manipulating you, appealing to your weaknesses. Real and lasting success requires work, lots of work. I have a quick real time story to illustrate this nothing feels like success concept. A great new restaurant opened up close to my home on the beach in San Diego. In the beginning, the place was immaculate. The hostess had a big welcoming smile for everyone. The service was impeccable. The manager came over and assured it. The food was sensational. Soon, people started lining up to eat there and would often wait more than an hour to be seated. Then, unfortunately, the restaurant staff began to take its success for granted. The hostess became snoopy. The service staff disheveled and cursed. The food quality hit or miss. The place was out of business within the 18 months. They failed because of their success, or rather, because they stopped doing what made them successful to begin with. Their success clouded with their perspective and they slacked off. Microwave mentality. Understanding the compound effect will get you rid of the instant results expectation. The belief success should be as fast as your fast food, your 1 hour classes, your 31 minutes photo processing, your overnight mail, your microwave eggs, your instant hot water text messaging. Enough, okay? Promise yourself that you are not going to let once and for all your lottery winner expectation, because let's face it, you only hear the story about the one winner, not the millions of losers. That person you see jumping up and down in the front of Vegas slot machine, or the Santa Anita horse track doesn't really reveal the hundred of times that the same person lost. If we can go back to our mathematical chance of a positive result, again we have rounding error of a zero, as in you have a zero chance of winning. Harvard psychologist Daniel Gilbert, author of Stumbling on Happiness, says that if we gave lottery losers each 30 seconds on TV to pronounce not I won but I lost, It would take almost 9 years to get through the losers of a single drawing. When you don't understand how compound effect works, you won't plan for quick fixes or silver bullets. Don't try to fool yourself into believing that mega successful athlete didn't live through regular bone crushing drills, thousands of hours of practice. He got up early to practice and kept the practice long after all others had stopped. He faced sheer agony and frustration of the failure, loneliness, hard work, and disappointed to become number one. By the end of this book, or even before, I want you to know in your bones that your only path to success is through the continuum of mundane, unsexy, unexciting, sometimes difficult daily discipline compounded over time. Know too that the results, the life, and the lifestyle of your dreams can be yours when you put compound effect to work for you. When you put compound effect to work for you. If you use the principle outlined in the compound effect, you will create your fairy tale ending. See figure 2. The compound effect is always working. The compound effect is always working. You can choose to make it work for you, or you can ignore it and experience the negative effect of this powerful principle. If it doesn't matter where you are on this graph, starting today, you can decide to make simple, positive changes and allow the compound effect to take where you want to go. Have I made the point clear? Good. Join me in the next chapter where we will focus on one thing that controls your life. Every victory or defeat, triumph or failure has started with this. Everything you have or you don't have right now has been because of this. Learn to change this and you can change your life. Let's discover what this is. So Piyush, this is the chapter 1 of the compound effect. I'll put up the daily chapters and daily days. So let's go.